Blue skies means fun days. Helping skydivers with tips and techniques about safety, training and fun jumping from those who know. Hi and welcome to Blue Skies Fun Days. Every so often I have the chance to catch up with Jim McCormick. He's the public face and a major driving force behind creating the Skydiving Museum and Hall of Fame. Recently I caught up with him for an update chat about the progress with the museum.
The International Skydiving Museum and Hall of Fame was an idea that was conceived by a gentleman named Bill Otley, who was very prominent in our sport internationally. He had some certain roles with the United States Parachute Association. He was a leading light, he was a visionary. And many years ago, he made the observation that it was going to be necessary at some point to have a museum to present our history, to present our accomplishments, and that there would be a time when the community would demand a Hall of Fame. That time was not then, but he was forward thinking, and so he established the entity, the organization, at that time, but it laid fallow for an extended period because it made sense, because at the time he came up with the idea, there were only about 20 years of history to our sport, so it was a bit premature. The exciting thing is in the last 10, 15 years, it's really moved forward. The advent of the Hall of Fame has been significant. In 2010, the first class of the Hall of Fame was selected, and there's now 96 members of the International Skydiving Hall of Fame, 30% of which are from around the world, from non-Americans, which is really important because that's appropriately representative of the skydiving community, and about 20% of which are female, again, representative appropriately of the skydiving community. It's exciting that the classes in the International Skydiving Hall of Fame have, in the recent years, have been very well represented. They've been active skydivers, they've been retired skydivers, they've been competitors, they've been people that were more on the administrative side of keeping our sport safe and moving it forward. And then we've also introduced the Path of Excellence and the Pioneers of Excellence Awards. And those are roughly equivalent of the Hall of Fame, but they're for non-individuals. They're for organizations, clubs, associations, manufacturers, companies, and they've been tremendously well received. We've had the Path of Excellence. The first one was awarded to the 1988 Seoul Olympic team demonstration team that built that fabulous, probably the most photographed formation in the history of our sport of the Olympic rings over the opening ceremonies of the Olympics in Seoul, South Korea. And the next Path of Excellence Award the following year was awarded to the 100-way crew diamond. The year after that, it was awarded to the 400-way world record in 2006 in Thailand world team. And the year after that, it was awarded to probably one of the most prominent and significant competition teams in the history of our sport, which is Arizona Airspeed. So it is a great way to be able to acknowledge the organizations that have made a huge impact on our sport in a very positive way. A few years ago, we acquired a tremendous location, which is a short distance from the Disney attractions in Orlando, Florida. This is a huge step up from where we thought we might be up in Virginia. It is in the midst of a vibrant tourist market. There are 75 million tourism visits a year to the Orlando marketplace. We are 3.9 miles from the entrance to the Disney attractions. We have calculated that for us to be successful, we need to be able to attract 0.2% of the visitation to the Disney attractions, which are a short distance from us. And that's exactly why we're located there, because we know the great majority of our visitors will be non-skydivers. You can't make a museum of the scale that we're building successful with skydivers alone. So we need to attract families and individuals, both the tourism market and also the local residents, to something that they will find intriguing. And that's exactly what we're setting about doing. So the land exists, it's an excellent location. The next critically important step is we have struck an agreement with the wonderful people from Inclined Labs in Stockholm, Sweden, to build the second wingsuit wind tunnel in the world immediately adjacent to us. We will be side by side with a shared parking lot. To the public, it will have the appearance of being a single offering, and that's exactly the intent. And then on the other side of the museum and Hall of Fame, we have a site for a vertical wind tunnel, which we're hoping to be able to put together and find a qualified operator to be able to build that. If all that comes together, we will have the only place in the world that has a wingsuit wind tunnel and a vertical wind tunnel co-located. In the last year, we hired an award-winning architectural firm called Hunt & Brady Associates. They're based out of Tampa, out of Central Florida. Obviously, if you're building a building in Florida, you need an architectural firm from Florida that knows how to build a building that does well in that climate. We also hired a company called Dimensional Innovations. They are a world-renowned design company for exhibits and sports facilities and museums, highly qualified. So both of them, in the last year, we've been working side by side with them to advance our design of both the building and the exhibits. That's the first step towards costing the building and the exhibits. We can't get good cost numbers until we know exactly what it is that we're going to build. We've taken that through the initial phases in both cases so that we can then look at what our costs are. So what we know is the following. There's no specific date for establishing when we're going to break ground, because between now and then there's too many variables that we can't fully quantify, but we know what the variables are. The variables are the following. We need to sell the land that we own in Fredericksburg, Virginia, that at one time was contemplated to be the site of the museum. We need to raise additional funds to be able to close the gap between what we have and what we need. We need to be able to complete the design process, the second and third phase of the design process, both for the exhibits and the buildings. We need to select a contractor. We need to obtain our building permits from the appropriate authorities, and we need to bid the work before we can move forward. By my estimation, from the time we have the funds in hand till the time we can break ground will be approximately a year's time. From the time we break ground to the time we can take visitors into the front door will be approximately 18 months. So that is what we're working at time-wise. Those are the things that need to fall into place between now and then.
Just a quick note to our skydiving family. Blue Skies Fun Days is here to help our family grow, have fun in the sky, and to do it safely. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and tell your friends about the lessons we have on offer to help everyone become better skydivers. For more tips and techniques, click subscribe.